You may work hard, you may earn more than you used to, but do you ever feel like your future is still uncertain? That is exactly how I felt back in 2023. I picked up my first part-time job and I was making money, but it still didn't feel like I was doing anything with my life. Money still felt very short term. I was living paycheck to paycheck, but I wasn't struggling. I'm really blessed to be part of a family, and so I had a roof over my head, but I didn't understand just how badly I was falling behind. That meant wasn't really relaxed either. This all changed when I started investing consistently in 2023. Anytime before then, it's really windy out here. Anytime before 2023, when I was investing, I was really just randomly putting money into different opportunities and then losing about 20% and pulling it out. I had no confidence. I had no confidence in what I was investing in. When people talk about investing, they typically focus on the numbers, returns, percentages, how much money they made. But what investing did for me was way more than that. Investing changed my mindset. And to me, that was everything. It did more than change just my bank account. It changed how I saw my future. I quickly learned that information is power. Before investing, I would just throw money into the market and pull it out with no confidence whatsoever. It was pretty bad. I didn't understand the power of compound effect. I didn't understand the importance of, spending time in the market as opposed to timing the market. I didn't understand risk and volatility and macro events and how they affected, the market. And so whenever I was investing, I had no confidence. And so even though I actually started investing in 2021, I was in one day and out another. And so I never really consistently invested until 2023. And that was because of a lack of, it looked like I had the opposite of the Midas touch. Whatever I put money in towards lost value immediately. It was bad. The biggest gains I've seen haven't been because of my intellect or ability to analyze financial statements, which I am working on. I am an accountant, but that's not what has made me money in the market, but rather access to information on Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, and so many sources or people rather that are more knowledgeable than I am. And so seeing them invest in companies like Rocket Lab made me invest in companies like Rocket Lab, and that has performed massively well over time. Seeing them invest in companies like Nubank, and so I've gone to invest in a company like Nubank, and that's performed massively. Information is power, and so instead of relying solely on your thoughts, rely on the hive mind that is the internet. I was writing this down here. The internet gives the average retail investor access to so much information about growth stocks that can make 100% returns in the next couple of years. Why would you bother doing anything else? Why would you bother putting your time towards anything else when the internet does it for you? The second thing that investing taught me is that income still matters a lot. There's a lot of content online that makes it sound like investing replaces work or your income, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. Income is what gives you options. Income is what you use to fuel your investments. Making sure my 9 to 5 was earning me more income year on year was more important than picking the right stock or timing the market. And so investing taught me to focus on increasing that income. And over the last couple of years, I've been able to go from 30,000 to 50,000 to 70,000 and even more in yearly income. And I haven't been afraid to take that step to do so. That's the reason I'm out here. I've moved countries in order to secure a job that is paying me more. By becoming a more qualified professional and not being afraid to take that step, I have been able to pour more into my investments. Once I understood the basics and focused on growing my income as well as becoming a more knowledgeable investor so I can invest in stocks with high conviction and high confidence, my net worth started to scale up massively. Investing stopped being stressful because it became a system. And that system itself has given me freedom. If you're early in this journey, here's what I'd focus on first based on those 2 points. What you'd want to do first is learn enough to become confident. Learn enough to become knowledgeable. Information is power, and there's so much information out there. And number 2, you should focus on earning enough to become consistent in your investing. If you're able to put $50 in and then maybe not the next week because of other bills, that means that you need to increase your income. And so whether that's studying, upskilling, becoming more qualified in the work you do, those 2 things are going to make investing so much easier. This channel is about me documenting those 2 points in real time. And if that's something that resonates with you, follow along, subscribe, and comment below the type of videos you want to see next. Alrighty, we out of here.